Hey, it's your dad here, and I want to share some thoughts on a question I get asked more than I can count. What is the right age to take my kids to Disney for the first time? Well, let me tell you, I've been fortunate enough to take my kids to a Disney park nearly every stage of their life, between 7 months old and 19 years. So I've had a front row seat to see how the magic of Disney hits differently for each stage of their life. Whether you're planning a once-in-a-lifetime trip or a once-every-few-years trip, there's a lot to consider. Hopefully through my experience, you'll get to choose just the right time for your child. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. Now let's talk some Disney magic and making memories with your kids. My daughter's first trip was at 7 months old. In fact, she learned how to crawl in the hotel that very night. This trip is because we wanted to go. Honestly, the thing to remember is that until about 10 years old, these trips are really about you. It's about you watching them discover the world. It's so you will have these forever memories and bonds forged in joy. That being said, every age has different discoveries at Disney. At 2 years old, definitely seeing the world with wide eyes and wonder. You will treasure every memory of every smile you see on that trip. I always like to say I love vacations because it's the time my kids are a captive audience. They have nothing else they can do and they're trapped with me. But at this age, we're the captive audience. They get to spend the day playing with their parents and they love it. And I admit, I didn't hate it either. Of course, every kid is different, but I noticed that both my kids at the age of 2 were a little unsure of the costume characters. They loved seeing them, but they didn't really want to get close yet. For us, that starts to change at age 3. And at age 3, the trip is definitely about seeing the costume characters and getting autographs. Age 4 is all about the princess. We spent nearly a quarter of our time in the park, getting the dress, getting the hair done, and meeting all the princesses. At age 5, you can see total comfort with the costume characters, but watch my son, who's 2, he's a little unsure still. Around age 7, the trips become more about the rides. Or for my son, that was around age 4. The question of when to take your kids to Disney changes if you have 2 kids and you're only planning on making this a once-in-a-lifetime trip. For a once-in-a-lifetime trip, you want them to be a little bit older. My kids are 3 years apart, and our best trip was definitely when my daughter was 7 and my son was 4. There were a lot of factors that went into this. For one, this was the first vacation we took just the 4 of us. But also, I recently asked my daughter what was her earliest memory of Disney, and she said it was the trip when she was 7 years old. I asked my son the same question, and coincidentally, it was the trip when he was 7 years old. So if them remembering the trip throughout their lives is important to you, I would definitely say age 7 is the right age for a trip to Disney. Of course, if you have 2 kids and there's an age gap between them, it makes the decision a little harder. But honestly, like I said before, a trip to Disney is about remembering your kid at that age. For them, they probably won't remember this trip for the rest of their lives. At least no more than little images. But a day of your undivided attention to them is priceless. So I'm going to give you a little fatherly advice based off of some of the things I've seen in the parks recently. When you take your kids to these parks, be the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone for how your kids are going to behave. If you're having fun and trying to take everything in, they will follow your lead. I've seen both recently. I've seen parents that are just having a blast with their kids. And then I've seen parents who are annoyed with their kids because they want to have fun and spend time with them. How dare they? There's really only 3 more ages of Disney trip. There's 8 to 12, there's teenage years, and then there's adult kids. I'm only just getting into that age, and I love it just as much as any of the other ones. However, I will say, if you haven't taken your kids to Disney at a younger age, they may not enjoy it as much as teenagers. Walt's idea for the park was that kids and parents would have a place to play together. So though I've had a lot of fun with my kids as teenagers at the parks, it's really that gift that Walt Disney gave me to have the same experiences as them and being fun for both of us. That's really the magic of the Disney parks. That being said, my favorite ages to spend that time playing with my kids is really about 3 to 4 years old. I hope this video helped you in planning for your first Disney trip with your kids. I know I enjoyed looking back and watching my kids grow up at Disney. Please give this video a like so others get to see it. Please subscribe to this channel. We've got some more Disney coming up this year, plus we got a trip to Japan and a few other trips on the books. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.